All right, guys, so we talked a lot about consciousness, and I really want to hammer home why consciousness is so incredibly amazing. Consciousness is not just an experience, it's far deeper than that. It is the awareness that you are aware of being aware. And also, it's this kind of deep inner subjectivity that you are in fact a self. So we talked about it before, why aren't physical states just physical? Why are they about anything at all? And this is what philosophers call intentionality, this kind of aboutness. These mental states being about something. Again, this inner deep subjectivity that you are a self, you are aware that you're aware of being aware. Now keep this in mind when we're talking about whether or not computers can think. So a lot of people say that computers will be able to think one day, and some even say that they are thinking. But I think that we can really criticize this idea quite well. So in an attempt to answer this question, the philosopher John Searle proposed what's called a Chinese room experiment. Searle imagines himself in a room with boxes of Chinese characters that he cannot understand, along with a book of rules and instructions that he can understand. If a Chinese speaker outside the room passes him messages under the door, he can follow instructions from the book to select an appropriate response. So there's someone outside of the door, he's in the room, and they're passing him these Chinese symbols underneath of the door. Now, interestingly, the person on the other side of the door believes wholeheartedly that they're conversing with a fluent Chinese speaker. But in reality, it is merely a person following an algorithm, such as mathematical computations, rules, and instructions. According to Alan Turing, a preeminent figure of computer science, if a computer program can convince a human they are communicating with another human, they are said to think. The Chinese room experiment, however, suggests that however well you program a computer, it does not actually understand Chinese. The computer only simulates such knowledge. In other words, programming a computer may make it appear to understand language, but it cannot produce actual understanding. It's really just following rules, instructions, a built-in algorithm that we have already placed on it. So again, think of a thinking thing as a conscious thing, right? So it's quite difficult to infer from this. For example, this computer right here is a complex machine. It's made of parts. But it seems odd to say that this is a thinking thing, that it has that kind of subjective experience and the ability to think on a conscious level. So look at the clock up there, for example, or I could just look at my watch, as a matter of fact. It's almost 12 o'clock, all right? The hands say that it's 12 o'clock, but the clock doesn't know that it's 12 o'clock. It's not a thinking thing, it's not a conscious agent. So the Chinese room experiment is one of the best known and widely credited counter-arguments to claims surrounding the idea that computers can think or someday may be able to think. So again, the Chinese room experiment, slipping Chinese symbols under this door, and what's coming out the other side is really coherent sentences, coherent structure. And if we were looking at this from the outside, we would think that guy knows fluent Chinese, no doubt about it. But really, the guy doesn't know Chinese at all. He's just following rules, patterns, and instructions. And in a very similar way, computers are following the same thing. They're just following instructions, algorithms that we've built onto it. They're not actually thinking. They're not aware that they're aware of being aware. It doesn't know, I am a computer, I'm aware that I'm a computer, okay? And really, again, when you think about how astonishing consciousness actually is, this is what leads a lot of people to believe we're not just these physical, we're not reduced, these kind of physical, mechanical parts, that there's something else going on. I mean, I can easily conceive, perhaps, of us being, not aware of anything. Physical mechanisms seem to be able to describe physical behavior quite well, but it doesn't seem to be able to describe subjective experience, right? You can conceive of course, this, right? It's a complex machinery, but it's not a thinking thing. It's not aware, but it's aware. So that's really the difference between a conscious agent and a computer. So real strong argument against why computers are not thinking and why they probably will never be actually thinking.